I switched to rechargeable batteries in all my wireless microphones, and I recommend you do the same. If you're like me, you remember when rechargeable batteries were terrible. And if that is the case, you got to get over it. I had to. I recommend you do the same. They used to be these terrible things where you had to make sure you weren't overcharging it. You had to make sure you were draining the battery all the way before you charged it. So you'd have chargers that would actually drain the battery and then charge it, but then you would have to be there to... It was awful. Awful time. These new ones, these particular ones, these are Amazon Basic high capacity nickel metal hydride, or whatever the whatever the heck stands for. NiMH. And yeah, these things are great. I have the Amazon Basic ones because they were cheap at the time and actually have pretty good reviews. The reviews that I saw for these in terms of people actually testing them were, I believe, for some made in Japan ones, and these all say made in China. So I don't know if they changed suppliers at some point. So you got to be a little bit careful with stuff like that. But I've had really, really good luck with these. And I'm never going back, right? I switched to these specifically because of my wireless mics and some problems I was running into. Now, my microphones generally, I usually get about 7 to 8 hours of battery life. So that meant if I got 4 hours of use on them, those batteries, they might be sitting at 50 to 60%. They're garbage now. I can't use those at the next event because if the next event's 4 hours long again, they might make it, but I'm not trusting them. With these, I pop them out at the end of the night, I recharge them all, and I'm good to go for the next event. Now, one downside to keep in mind is rechargeable batteries do have a faster, I believe the term's like a self-dispersion rate or something like that. Basically, if you leave them sit for like a month and you come back to them, they will have less power than when you left them. It's not you leave them for a day and they're half dead or anything like that. But generally speaking, yeah, you want to make sure that you are recharging them before you use them. Who knew, right? If you leave them for a long time. But other than that, I've been actually really, really happy with these. I've yet to have any duds. That does happen sometimes. It's just there's one that just won't hold the charge or something like that, but I haven't had any issues with that. I've had alkaline batteries leak on me recently, which is another reason I moved to these. I haven't had any or anything like that. And I don't have to store them because one of the other problems I was having, especially with things like my camera flash and stuff, I'd use them for a few shots and then I would not use my camera for a while or not need the flash on it. And I had 2 batteries leak in one of my flashes because I just had batteries in there and I only had them in there for like 2 months, something like that. 2 batteries leaked and I was like, okay, cool. But there's like 70% left in the batteries. I wanted to use them the next time I took it out, so I left them in the darn thing. With these, that doesn't happen anymore. I just take them all out at the end of every gig and they're ready to go. Yeah, I went, like I said, Amazon Basics for my batteries, but I went with this company here, Power Owl, for my charger. From what I've heard in terms of brands you've never heard of, and I had never heard of, they're a pretty reputable brand in like the battery sphere, like people who test this kind of stuff. They're fairly reputable. This particular one is USB. It does have the worst USB port ever made. I can never remember if it's micro or mini, but I despise it. But it's probably because this is supposed to be a slower charger. You don't want somebody taking their USB-C, laptop charger and plugging it in here and like popping a battery or something like that. So that's my assumption with, and this was a really cheap battery charger, but it's a good charger. And because it can run off of the USB, I have a power bar at gigs that has USB ports on it. So I charge it off of that. So I don't have this like hanging off of my computer or anything like that. But I've been really happy with this charger as well. And yeah, that's replaced my batteries and everything. I haven't had any weird issues of, it's not putting out enough power and causing any weird dropouts or anything. I haven't had, like I said, no batteries leaking. The batteries always last the whole gig. And once you've recharged them about 2 or 3 times, they've kind of paid for themselves. So I highly, highly recommend it. If you're running any wireless microphones, if you're a sound tech, if you're a DJ, I was hesitant to do it because in my head, it was less reliable to use rechargeables versus using alkalines. But in my past couple years of using alkalines for everything, between having to throw batteries out after a single use, even though they're 50 or 60% charge left, and having a few of them leak on me after only sitting for like a month or two, I'm done with them. I'm never going back. And yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Highly recommended. Like I said, don't need this brand particularly. I've had good luck though with these Amazon Basics ones, but your mileage may vary. And yeah, Power Owl actually, they'd probably be who I would recommend if you want to go with like I said, a less known but still like a brand that has a company you can contact after. They've been around for a while. If you hop on Amazon and you type in rechargeable batteries, and there'll be like 80 brands you've never heard of, some of those are going to be gone by the end of the month. But Power Owl seems to be sticking around, which is nice to have actual customer service and stuff. And yeah, Amazon Basics, again, like they're not going anywhere. So that's one of the reasons I went with them, though I probably would have just gone with Power Owl had I known these ones were the made in China ones. Because them being made in Japan, I was like, oh, I'll go for those ones. And then I found out that these ones weren't. So that's my advice. That's my 2 cents. Like, subscribe. Got a bunch of videos coming up. Going to be hopping in the studio to review a few guitars instead of just talking about microphones and speakers and camera stuff in one of the videos. Whether that's before or after this one, I don't know. But more fun stuff on the way. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.